Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. It's in the description below, tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we are discussing a spectacular 2019 limited edition of 178 pieces in black DLC stainless steel, a collaboration between Louis Erard and Alain Silberstein. This is Le Regulateur, a timepiece that combines Silberstein's design sensibility with the watchmaking prowess of Louis Erard. It is a timepiece dedicated to the Bauhaus tradition, the tradition of de style, as well as Silberstein's own history as an avant-garde independent watchmaker. Now, the timepiece is 40 millimeters in diameter by 9.2 millimeters thick by 47.5 millimeters lug-to-lug with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. The timepiece, of course, is thin, broad, handsome, and dramatic. A full-size modern men's dress complication is both a regulator and a power reserve. Throwing it on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, you can see being thin, it is easily fit beneath the cuff. And from over the top, you can see it's really not near the edge of my wrist. You can see that even better from down the barrel. I've got plenty of clearance on both sides. So this watch is suitable for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. Taking a quick look at the strap. As with the watch, it's minimalist, but thoughtfully detailed. There's a triple contrasting stitch in red. You can see it's calfskin and black on the top with a sheer cut side showing you the layers of leather. And then on the underside, Louis Erard has fitted a rubber inlay that protects the leather from the moisture, sweat, heat, and grit of the wrist. You have a matching Louis Erard branded stainless steel DOC or DLC buckle, DLC case, outstanding condition, not a single scratch. Everything is exactly as it was delivered from the factory. And you can see the company logo on the crown. It is a push-down crown, 50 meters water resistant. There is a shallow conical bezel and then handsome and sharply broken out lugs. You can see these lugs are separate from the case band, so this is not an integrated Calatrava style lug profile. It's a little bit more vintage inspired, nicely tapered. Look at the dial. It's matte black with primary colors. If you're familiar with the work of de style artists from the first quarter of the 20th century, then you know exactly where this came from. The idea of breaking down design to its primary components, and in the case of color, that means primary colors. You can also see that the geometries, the shapes, the detailing, relatively spare and simple. There's nothing overly complex here, but the thought is immense. Carefully considered, you have white on black printing, and then you have the primary colors yellow, blue, and red. You also have a contrast between the sunken register up at the top, which is used to read the hours, and then you could see that there is a flush register that's part of the dial down at 6 o'clock that's used to read the seconds. There's a small power reserve indicator countersunk over at 9 o'clock, and then at center you have a regulator minute hand, and you can see it is rather fun to play with it. The timepiece is a manual wind based on a Peso 7001, made by, of course, ETA these days. Peso is the historic source of this movement. And you can see on the reverse side the signatures of both the manufacturer and the designer. Le Regulateur, a timepiece that also exists in plain steel, but the black is considered to be the more visually impressive. It has a lot of presence on the wrist, and it's somewhat menacing, I have to say. For a timepiece that is supposed to be elemental, it truly is imposing. Now, the movement is manual wind, 21.6 beat rate, 21 joules, non-hacking, with a 42-hour power reserve, and it is quite flat, allowing this watch to be exceptionally slim in profile. So the watch has a Peso base, the 7001, and then it has a Louis Erard module on the top that provides the power reserve indicator and the regulator complication. Altogether, lots to love. Or maybe there's very little to love because it's a minimalist watch, and that's the point, and that's why it is so appealing. Whether you find lots to love or very little to love, I guarantee you will adore it. One of the best limited editions of the last 10 years. Reach out to tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.